Have you ever, stopped to think where your food actually comes from?
Especially nowadays, right? With weather being so unpredictable.
Exactly. One minute it's a heat wave, the next crazy rain.
Mm-hmm.
It really makes you wonder how the grocery shelves stay full.
It does.
Well, today we're diving deep into a really ingenious solution. The world of plant factories. Our mission today is to take a close look at how these plant factories are evolving, particularly in Japan.
Right.
We'll unpack what they are, how the market's growing, the surprising challenges they sometimes face,
Despite all the potential, yeah.
and how different companies are trying to, crack the code on this really innovative way to grow food.
It's a fascinating mix. Technology, economics, sustainability.
Totally.
And our goal here is really to pull out the key insights, like why Japan? Why has it become such a hotbed for this tech?
Good question.
We'll dig into the economics behind it, how it's changing, and really importantly, what this all means for the future of food. Not just in Japan, but maybe, globally.
A shortcut to understanding a big part of our food future, basically.
You got it.
Okay, let's unpack this then. When we say plant factory, what exactly are we talking about?
Okay, so at its heart, a plant factory is this super sophisticated system. It's designed to artificially control, well, pretty much everything about how a plant grows.
Everything. Like what?
Think light, temperature, humidity, CO2 levels, even the nutrient solution, the water. Every single variable is precisely managed.
Wow.
And the whole point is planned year-round production. Totally separate from seasons or soil or bad weather.
So a stable supply.
Exactly. Stable supply, high quality. That's the goal.
That sounds incredibly precise. And I hear there are two main types in Japan. Is that right?
That's right. Two main flavors. First, you got the closed type.
Right.
This one's entirely indoors, uses only artificial light, usually LEDs these days, inside a completely sealed off space.
And the advantages there.
Oh, they're huge. You're completely independent of anything happening outside. So guaranteed year-round growing, super stable supply.
Right.
Plus, the produce is typically high quality, pesticide-free, and you can pack plants in really densely. Very efficient use of space.
What do they mostly grow in those?
For now, it's mainly leafy greens. Lots of different kinds of lettuce.
Gotcha. And the second type?
That's the solar light utilizing type.
Okay, sounds intuitive.
Yeah, it uses natural sunlight, usually in a kind of semi-enclosed greenhouse setup. But crucially, it's supplemented.
With artificial lights.
Exactly. Artificial light, climate control like air conditioning, used when needed. The big plus here is lower energy costs, obviously, because you're using the sun.
Makes sense.
But the trade-off is you're still partly dependent on the weather. Not quite the total control of the closed type.
And it's fascinating how much that closed type market specifically has grown. What are the numbers like in Japan?
Yeah, it's pretty impressive growth. The actual number of these closed-type factories, it almost doubled in about a decade.
Doubled.
Yeah, went from about 106 back in 2012 to roughly 194 by February 2023. And it's not just the number of factories. The market size, if you look at the value of what producers are shipping out, that really took off. It hit around 20 billion Japanese yen, JPY, around the 2019 fiscal year.
20 billion. Okay.
Yeah.
And what happened after that? Did it just keep going up?
Well, there were a few bumps in the road. Fiscal year 2020 saw a bit of a dip, mostly due to COVID-19 disruptions.
Right, that affected everything.
It did. And while things recovered in 2021, the market actually stayed pretty flat in fiscal 2022.
Why was that?
The main reason? Soaring electricity costs. That really hit these energy-intensive operations hard.
Okay.
For fiscal 2023, the estimate is around 21 billion JPY, which is actually a slight decrease from some earlier predictions.
Bit of a stall then?
A temporary one, it seems. Looking ahead, the forecasts from fiscal 2025 onwards, they show a return to solid growth.
Oh, good.
Yeah, projected to reach about 24 billion JPY by fiscal 2028.
What's driving that recovery?
Mostly new, large-scale factories coming online, and also existing places just getting better at using your capacity. So, connecting this to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Despite these temporary setbacks, like energy prices, the medium to long-term trend, it's definitely expected to be moderately upward, driven by that constant demand for stable, reliable food.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So, okay, moving beyond the plants themselves, let's talk about the whole ecosystem around them. It sounds like a really diverse value chain.
Oh, absolutely. It's complex, very integrated. You've got the upstream players first.
The tech suppliers.
Exactly. The companies making the cultivation systems, the special LEDs, the nutrient solutions, the high-tech air conditioning, plus the engineering firms designing and building the whole thing.
Right.
Then, sort of in the middle, you have the actual plant factory operators, the ones growing the vegetables.
Wow.
Some run their own shows, others provide their tech through partnerships or even like franchise models. And then downstream, that's where the harvested veggies go, through trading companies, distribution networks.
To people who actually use them.
Yep. Retailers, food service, like restaurants, cafeterias, and the big food processing companies.
So what's really pushing all this demand? Is it just about having lettuce all year?
That's part of it, but a huge driver is the need for stable supply and consistent quality. You know how open field veggie prices can go totally wild with bad weather?
Oh, yeah.
Plant factories offer that consistency. Demand's really strong from places making prepared foods or the food service industry. Think about salads for convenience stores or pre-cut vegetables. They need that reliability.
And the quality aspect.
Big selling point. Pesticide-free, often so clean they don't need washing. That makes them a premium choice for, say, high-end supermarkets or restaurants.
It sounds like it's not just about growing, but also the services around it. Are producers just selling heads of lettuce, or is there more going on?
Oh, much more. They're getting really creative. You see producers going directly into retail now.
Like opening their own shops?
Yeah, salad specialty stores or doing subscription boxes through e-commerce. And the equipment makers and trading companies, they're offering consulting, even outsourcing the whole operation, bundling their tech and know-how.
So helping new players get started.
Exactly. And then there are these ancillary businesses popping up too. Remote monitoring using IoT and AI to check on the environment inside.
Cool.
And maintenance services for all the automated lines. It's really becoming a whole integrated ecosystem.
Which raises a key question. We hear a lot about lettuce dominating these closed-type factories. What else can they actually grow?
That's a fair point. Right now, yeah, over 90% is still different kinds of lettuce.
Why lettuce so much?
It's got a pretty short growth cycle. It works really well with hydroponics growing in water, basically, and there's just huge, consistent demand for it.
Makes sense. But are they diversifying?
They are, actively. We're seeing more herbs like basil, cilantro, also seedlings for other types of crops. And some are tackling tougher challenges, things like strawberries, or nutrient-dense greens like kale and spinach. Even functional vegetables with boosted nutrients.
Functional vegetables? Like what?
Vegetables bred or grown under specific conditions to have higher levels of certain vitamins or antioxidants, for example.
Interesting. What about further out? Any really ambitious stuff?
Well, it's still very much R&D, research and development, but there are experiments growing soybeans, rice, even melons under artificial light.
Wow, rice, soybeans.
Yeah. Imagine the potential there for alternative proteins or really high-value crops grown anywhere, anytime. It's early days, but exciting.
So it's not just about the growing, but adding value after the harvest too. What's happening there?
Precisely. A big trend is co-locating simple processing lines right at the factory. Meaning the veggies get harvested and immediately processed, cut into portions, mixed into salads, ready for shipment. Adds value right there.
Streamlines things.
Definitely. And we're seeing multi-tiered growing, not just for big lettuces, but tiny baby leaves, micro leaves.
Oh yeah, you see those in fancy restaurants.
Exactly. Sold to high-end supermarkets, too. Big selling point. Super low bacteria count, longer shelf life.
What about waste?
That's another area of innovation. With sustainability being key, companies are finding ways to use parts that used to be discarded, like rootstocks or vegetables thinned out during growth.
Turning them into
smoothies, dried vegetable powders, things like that. It's really creating a whole new food value chain.
Okay, now let's tackle the elephant in the room.
Right.
Price. How do these factory veggies compare to the regular field-grown stuff?
Right.
More expensive, right?
Generally, yes, that's usually the case. For typical leaf lettuce, say, the wholesale price for open field might be, 300 to 600 JPY per kilogram.
Okay.
Plant factory lettuce, often more than double that, maybe 800 to 1,000 JPY per kilo.
And at the supermarket?
Yeah, you see it there too. A head of factory lettuce might be around 150 JPY normally, while the open field stuff could easily be under 100 JPY.
So why the big difference?
It really comes down to the higher running costs for the artificial light factories. You've got big equipment depreciation costs.
Right, paying off the setup.
Exactly. Plus ongoing costs like electricity, air conditioning, those can be huge, and generally higher labor costs too.
But is it always more expensive?
Here's the crucial bit. When bad weather hits the open fields and their prices shoot up,
Which happens a lot lately.
right, then suddenly the factory-grown prices can look much more competitive. Sometimes they even reverse the trend, or at least the gap narrows significantly.
So they offer price stability in a way.
Exactly. And the good news is technology is improving efficiency all the time. Costs are slowly coming down.
You think that price gap will shrink?
Definitely. With more scale, more automation in the future, we fully expect that gap to get smaller. Plus, you have to factor in other advantages.
Right.
Less waste from spoilage, lower costs for washing or sterilization because they're so clean to begin with. That all adds to the overall value for businesses and consumers.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting, I think. The industry isn't just growing, it's changing shape, restructuring.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, significant restructuring. We saw that initial boom. You mentioned the subsidies around 2009. But then a lot of companies found profitability really tough, and many actually pulled out.
Any big names?
Oh, yeah. Toshiba, for example, had an early lettuce factory. Utoya Holdings, the restaurant chain, tried in-house growing. Panasonic had a domestic artificial light business they withdrew from just in 2023, struggled with personnel productivity. Oryx and NK Agri had a solar light venture hit by typhoon damage. So, yeah, lots of challenges.
Wow, so it's not an easy business.
Not at all. But what's fascinating now is, amidst all this shaking out, you're seeing new alliances forming, mergers, acquisitions. It's incredibly dynamic.
Like, who are the key players making moves now?
Well, take the pioneers, Spreadcom Ltd. They had this huge vision, Technofarm, aiming for Japan's biggest lettuce factory, 50,000 heads a day. Very advanced automation, water recycling. But the massive investment needed, plus those soaring energy costs we talked about, it led to financial trouble. They ended up going into civil rehabilitation in 2024.
Ouch. So even the pioneers struggled.
It shows the risks, but it's also leading to new structures. Their main factory assets were actually acquired by Tokyu Fudosan Holdings Group, a real estate giant, and their sales business got investment from Chubu Electric Power.
Interesting. Cross-industry involvement.
Exactly. It highlights their innovative tech. They were producing like 1 million heads a year, but also the vulnerability.
What about other pioneers, like MRAI Co.?
Another key early player. They set up large factories after the 2011 earthquake, really helped establish the market for year-round quality lettuce. Now they're expanding overseas too, providing equipment for projects in places like Norway.
So exporting their know-how.
Right, and focusing more on digital tech services, energy efficiency back home, adapting.
So we're seeing pioneers adapt, but what about these new collaborations you mentioned? Are partnerships the way forward?
It certainly looks like a major trend. Take Farmship Inc. They operate factories, yes, but they're also a big consulting firm.
Helping others get set up.
Yeah, supporting new factory launches, doing joint ventures. They teamed up with TEPCO, the big power company, and a leasing company for that huge factory in Fujieda. 5 tons a day capacity.
Wow.
They also partnered with Toshiba Group Elements, and Farmship kind of acts like a hub, collecting produce from different factories, almost like contract farmers, for collective sales.
Not a really integrated model.
Very much so. And they're also pushing into high nutrition and functional vegetables.
And that leads to joint ventures like Nova.
Exactly. That's Toshiba Plant Systems and Farmship. Big factory, 30,000 heads daily, supplying major convenience stores. It shows how Toshiba's tech found a new route to market via partnership.
Then Saisai Seikatsu GK.
Yeah.
Similar story.
Yep. Another JV TEPCO Energy partner this time, for your general lease, and Farmship again. Another massive factory in Fujieda, 50,000 heads daily.
Serving who?
Big food processors, supermarkets across Kanto, Chubu, Kansai regions. It's really a model case showing power companies, leasing firms, and operators working together.
It definitely sounds like major industrial players are seeing the potential. What about established companies from, say, chemicals or electronics? Are they in the game?
Yes, absolutely, though, with mixed results. Mitsubishi Chemical Group is a good example of success.
The chemical giant.
Yeah, they were early developers of the artificial light tech, operate their own large factories now. They boast something like 40 times the productivity of open field growing for their pesticide-free greens.
Impressive.
And they leverage their materials and chemical expertise to develop unique systems, aiming for mass production of those functional vegetables we talked about.
Okay, so they're succeeding. But you mentioned Panasonic withdrawing.
Right. That's the other side of the coin. Panasonic Holdings, huge electronics company, had an in-house venture, even a successful factory in Singapore.
But not in Japan.
They struggled with profitability domestically, tried using IoT sensors, cloud control, all the tech, but still withdrew from the Japanese market in 2023.
Why?
Reports suggest issues with finding the right personnel, achieving the necessary scale and productivity in Japan. It's a real cautionary tale, you know? Even tech giants can find this market tough.
Definitely. Any others leveraging their industrial background?
Showa Denko, now called Resonac, is another one. They run a large factory in Kawasaki City. They use a hybrid approach, artificial light and sunlight.
Interesting mix.
And their strategy is very focused. High-value functional vegetables sold at premium prices to corporations, aiming for faster return on investment. It shows how specialization can work.
So it's not just about scale, but also strategy. Are there smaller, maybe niche players succeeding too?
For sure. There's a startup called Plant Exco, Ltd. Their model is different, community-based, smaller scale.
How does that work?
They design and run factories specifically for local climates and needs. They might grow traditional local vegetables, specialty herbs.
Supplying locally.
Yeah, school lunches, local restaurants. They even do premium veggie sets for tourists, and they collaborate with local farmers. It shows you can make it work on a smaller, targeted scale.
That's really cool. And finally, what about companies trying to use these factories for their own supply chains, like Utoya?
Right, Utoya Holdings, the restaurant chain, they built their own factories back in the 2010s. The goal was stable lettuce supply, guaranteed safety for their stores.
Makes sense for a restaurant.
It did seem logical, but the initial investment, the running costs, it just became too much of a burden. They eventually withdrew and now buy externally.
Another tough lesson.
It really highlighted both the potential quality benefits for food service, but also the significant cost challenges. It's probably spurred more thinking about different partnership models for that sector.
So, summing up the competitive scene,
Yeah.
it sounds like a real turning point.
Absolutely. It's survival of the fittest, in a way, but also survival of the smartest collaborators. We're seeing consolidation, bigger players with tech and capital getting stronger.
But niche players can survive too.
Yes, niche strategies like Plant X or specialization like Showa Denko can definitely carve out success. We'll likely see more M&A, maybe more foreign investment coming in too.
And the focus for everyone is?
Cost reduction is huge. Adding unique value functional foods, special varieties, more automation, saving labor, and really specializing in those high-value crops. That seems to be the direction.
Wow. What an incredible journey we've taken today. We've gone from defining what these plant factories even are, seeing how their market grew.
Hit some bumps.
Hit some bumps, yeah. Understood the complex value chain, the cool diversification beyond just lettuce, and now this whole industry restructuring that's really reshaping things.
It's a blend, isn't it? Tech power and smart partnerships.
Definitely. So what's the big takeaway here? What does this all really mean?
I think it shows the Japanese plant factory industry is just incredibly dynamic. It's constantly evolving, right? Grappling with big challenges, costs, competition, but also constantly reevaluating what its core value is. Its ability to deal with external risks like crazy weather is huge. And its contribution to sustainability, that's becoming more and more important.
It really leaves us with a fascinating thought, doesn't it? What could the widespread adoption of plant factories mean for, like, global food security?
Yeah.
Especially with climate change accelerating.
Right. Could your dinner plate one day be, entirely full of produce grown indoors, no matter the season, no matter the continent?
Something to chew on, for sure.